ओम अज्ञान तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So after Atri Rishi was able to recognize the three personalities, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, by their different carriers and also by the different symbols they were holding in their hand, Atri Rishi paid his dandavat, obeisances, and now Atri Rishi, he is speaking to the three personalities. So it is said here, Atri Muni was greatly pleased to see that the three devas were gracious towards him. So it is said here, Kripa Avalokena, they were very graciously, with lot of mercy, they were glancing towards him. Avalokena means glancing. So Atri Muni was greatly pleased to see that the three devas were gracious towards him. His eyes were dazzled by the effulgence of their bodies, because these three personalities are not ordinary personalities. As we saw, Prabhupada explains that even Brahma's body is like gold. So when he fell down and when he offered his obeisances, when Lord Brahma had offered his obeisances to Lord Krishna in Brahma Vimohana Leela, then it was looking like a golden rod has fallen down. So these three personalities, they are not ordinary. Brahmaji is endowed with the power of material creation. Lord Shiva is endowed with the power of Pralaya, annihilating this whole cosmic manifestation. So they are very powerful personalities. So the effulgence which was coming out of these three personalities was not bearable for Atri Rishi, and therefore for the time being he closed his eyes. Then he starts offering his prayers to them. So this is what we are reading. But since his heart was already attracted by the deities, somehow or other he gathered his senses, and with folded hands and sweet words he began to offer prayers to the predominating deities of the universe. So somehow or other he gathered his mind, his senses, and with folded hands now he starts praying to them, to the three deities who have appeared there. The great sage Atri said, O Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, you have divided yourself into three bodies by accepting the three modes of material nature, as you do in every millennium for the creation, maintenance and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. So, I offer my respectful obeisances unto all of you and beg to inquire whom of you three I have called by my prayers. So this is very important to understand here the inquiry by Atri Rishi. So he is saying, you have divided yourself into three bodies by accepting the three modes of material nature, as you do in every millennium for the creation, maintenance and dissolution of this cosmic manifestation. Now this has to be understood properly. In the Vedic literatures, it is very clearly explained that before the creation, there was no Shiva, there was no Brahma. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead existed before the creation. In Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, which the Lord speaks to Brahmaji, the Lord very clearly explains in the very first shloka that I existed before the creation. So this is what do we understand when Prabhupada gives the example. Suppose you construct a building. So it is very clear the building was not existing and you existed before the building was done, before it was constructed. And that the building belongs to you. Similarly, this whole cosmic manifestation, it is called Bhutva Praliyate. There are two aspects of this creation, Bhutva and Praliyate. Bhutva means again and again it is created and again it is destroyed, Praliyate. Whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is neither Bhutva nor Praliyate. He is not created and He is never destroyed. He eternally exists. So, when we find the creation happening, it is very clear. Lord Brahma, he was created after the creation. In the form of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, when the Lord expanded himself and is lying down in Garbhodaka ocean, in order to do further creation, there was a lotus which sprouted from the Nabhi of Lord Vishnu. On that lotus, Brahmaji is born. And because Brahmaji is born directly from Lord Vishnu, without the help of Mother Lakshmi, Brahmaji is called sometimes as Aja or also he is called as Swayambhu. One who does not require a kind of a material birth. So he is called as Swayambhu. So we find Lord Brahma is created after the creation. Similarly, we also find that Lord Shiva is created when Brahmaji became very angry. From the anger of Brahma, from the middle of his two eyes, Lord Shiva, he is born. So his creation also happens after Brahmaji is created. And both Brahma and Lord Shiva are created for a specific reason, specific function of helping the Supreme Lord in this material creation. Both of them are also called as Prajapatis. If we see this in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, these descriptions are given. So we find Brahmaji was also asked that he should further the creation as a Prajapati. And then Brahma started creating. Similarly, Lord Shiva, he also started creation. And we find that bhutas, pishachas and such kind of horrible living entities were created by him. So then the Lord halted him. He said that now there is no requirement of you to create. When your requirement is there, I will inform you. So all these things are very lucidly, vividly explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. That both Brahma and Shiva, their existence comes about only after the creation begins. After the Lord has created. They did not exist before the creation because there was no requirement. Their requirement is to manage the affairs of this material world. You see. So, what happens is, in this three phases of creation, maintenance and destruction, creation is done with Rajoguna, maintenance is done with Sattva-guna, and destruction is done with Tamoguna. When Brahmaji creates, Lord Brahma was very fearful. He was very fearful that, my dear Lord, I am praying. You have given me the task of this material creation. But your material energy is insurmountable, very difficult to overcome. So I am very afraid that I may get entangled in this creation when I am creating. So even Brahma, actually, he is not free from the influence of three modes of material nature. He accepts even before he started creating. And specifically because creation requires the predominance of Rajoguna. So imagine if you have to be submerged in Rajoguna and you have to remain transcendental, it is quite difficult. It's quite difficult. But it is possible by the mercy of the Lord. Similarly, for devotees, Srila Prabhupada says that even though the devotee, in order to carry out the mission of the Lord, just like Brahmaji was carrying out the mission of the Lord. The Lord is asking him that he should do this service because that is the desire of the Lord. Why it is the desire of the Lord? Why the Lord wants creation? It is for the purpose of living entities, because He is very merciful. The Lord wants to give chance to the living entities to rectify their mentality in this material world. It's just like a kind father when he sees that his son, he is going astray. The father may take some strict measures of even slapping the son to bring him to the right path, to right understanding. So, it is said in Bhagavatam that the Supreme Lord carries out this thankless task. Nobody will thank the Supreme Lord. But this is a thankless task. Maya has to do this. And that is why in Bhagavatam it is said that Maya, she stands in an ashamed position before the Supreme Personality of Godhead, bowing down her head, because actually nobody would like to punish his own son. But if it is required to be done, what can be done? Unwillingly, the Supreme Lord has to punish the living entities through this agency of Maya. So, Maya is also engaged in the service of the Lord in that sense. Prabhupada explains the two aspects of Maya are both in the service of the Lord. One is Avarnatmika and another is Prakshepatmika. By Avarnatmika, the living entity, its knowledge is covered. Original understanding, the real knowledge is covered. That is called Avarnatmika. Prabhupada gives the example, just like when the living entity comes in the form of a hog. He is eating stool and he is happy. This is called Avarnatmika. His original understanding, original position is obscured. It is completely covered. So that is Avarnatmika. Why it is covered? In order to satisfy the desires of the living entity, he has to forget his original position. Then only he can take up any other position. And then Prakshepatmika is to identify the sincerity of the living entity, that his mentality has become rectified or not. Does he really want to go back to Krishna, or he still wants to go around in this material world? So Prakshepatmika is called throwing potency, pulling potency. Maya, by its varieties of different kinds of allurements, tries to allure the living entity in this material world to be bound. So, Krishna wants to see that whether actually we have overcome these allurements or not. So, Maya will try to test. And if we fail, then we will have to wait for some more time. Prabhupada explains that an intelligent student, actually, he is not afraid of exams. It is the student who is not prepared throughout the year, he may be afraid. The intelligent student who has been studying, he is waiting. Why is he waiting? Because he will pass this exam and he will go to the next standard. So actually, devotees are not afraid of allurements of Maya, because they are sincere in their endeavor. So, even material energy in the form of Durga carries out the orders of the Lord. This is the different kind of service the Lord has given to Maya. So this is what do we call it as, what is the interest of the Lord in this material creation? What is the interest of the Lord? Actually, the Lord never comes in touch with Maya. It is through His varieties of agencies the Lord deals with this material world. So originally, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is never in touch with Maya. Even in the form of Vishnu, who is taking charge of Sattva Guna to maintain this material world, the Supreme Lord is Turiya. He is transcendental. Brahmaji also attains that position of being transcendental only because he is engaged in the service of the Lord, carrying out the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all of these, whether it is Durga, whether it is Brahma, whether it is Lord Shiva, all of them are participating in the mission of the Lord of this material creation. So where is the question that any one of them can equal the Supreme Personality of God? All of them are material creations of the Lord. Where is the question? Isn't it? So that is how it is explained in Brahma Samhita, the position of these different personalities who are created for the sake of carrying out the mission of the Lord in this material world. So for Durga, it is said, Chhayeva yasya bhuvanani bibharti Durga ichhanurupam api yasya cha cheshta teshat Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That Durga, who has Shrishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti Rekha, the Lord has endowed Durga with the potency of creation, maintenance and annihilation. Shrishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti Rekha. But how is she acting? Chhaye vayasya bhuvanani vibhurti Durga. She is acting just like a shadow. So the shadow is never independent of the original object. Similarly, Maya is not acting independent of the Supreme Lord. So we find there are people who are called as Shaktas. They believe Durga is the Supreme. According to them, energy is the Supreme. So they are called as Shaktas. Then there are others, they are called Shaivas. They believe that Lord Shiva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now that is also explained in Brahma Samhita. Shiram yatha dadhi vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahi tathak pratahasti heto yah shambhutam api tatha samupeti karyat govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The example is given. Shiram yatha, it is just like milk. When it comes in touch with anything sour, acidic, its quality changes. The milk becomes curd or yogurt when it comes in touch with anything acidic. It is in the form of Lord Shiva. The Supreme Lord is in touch with this material world. It is in that form. It is a form of the Lord only. There is no doubt about it. Lord Shiva's form is one of the forms of the Lord. And it is in that form the Supreme Lord comes in touch with this material nature. And He is also transcendental. Even though He is playing the part of being the in charge of Tamoguna, He is also transcendental. Brahmaji, he is playing the part of being in charge of Rajoguna, and it is by the influence of Rajoguna he creates, and it is by the influence of Tamoguna Lord Shiva destroys. But still they are considered to be transcendental. You see, this is very important to understand. Because when one carries out the mission of the Lord, the orders of the Lord, seemingly one may be in touch with material nature, actually he is transcendental. That very clearly Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone remembers that verse? Mam chayo avya vicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samaitetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So even an ordinary living entity, if he is absorbed in transcendental loving service of the Lord, he can become transcendental to three gunas. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Immediately he comes out. Krishna also says, Mameva prapadhyante maya metam tarantite. Otherwise it is very difficult, Krishna says. To come out of the three modes of material nature is very, very difficult. But if someone surrenders to me, immediately he can transcend the influence of three modes of material nature. So in Bhagavatam also, very beautiful example is given that if somebody is actually sane, he can very easily understand which personality one should worship. If somebody is intelligent, he can very clearly understand. Because Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they are playing an important role in this material creation. Of creation and annihilation. We also find Lord Shiva has another important function. As a great devotee of the Lord, he is very, very kind to such personalities who are otherwise no method of deliverance for them practically. Bhuta, Pretas, Pishachas, all such kind of living entities who do not even have a material body. Because if we have to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, first of all we have to be completely free from all kind of sinful activities. These living entities who are very, very sinful, and thus they don't even receive sometime gross bodies. Bhutas, Pishachas, Pretas, they don't have even gross body. But even such living entities are delivered by the mercy of Lord Shiva, by his association as a great devotee of the Lord. So this is another important aspect of devotional service and greatness of the service carried out by Lord Shiva. So, in that sense we can understand that he is transcendental. being a great devotee of the Lord. In the Vedic literatures it is said, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. And Lord Shiva is also one of the great Mahajanas. You see, one of the great Mahajanas. We find Mahajana yena gatah sapanthaha. One cannot understand dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. One cannot understand the intricacies of real religious principles unless one follows in the footsteps of Mahajana. Just like Prahlad is a Mahajana, Bhishma is a Mahajana, Lord Shambhu, Shiva is also great Mahajana. So he is quite merciful to such kind of living entities. So in that way we can find that even though they are in touch with material nature, they are transcendental. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada has said that in Krishna consciousness we may have to deal with so many things which are material. So many things which are material. But still, because if we understand that all those material things, if we can utilize them under the direction of the spiritual master, then the same activities can actually make us to transcend the modes of material nature. So this is very, very important, because otherwise actually Prabhupada criticized some of the devotees who wanted to imitate Haridas Thakur and just wanted to retire without doing activities, thinking that spiritual life means we should just become away from this gross material things, material relationships, material objects, all those things. And they tried to retire prematurely to Vrindavan, but unfortunately, until and unless the heart is purified, one should not retire. One can retire, but at a mature stage of devotional service, one can retire. So these great acharyas, they were very, very careful so that we don't become these imitating Babajis, wherein prematurely we want to retire. Prabhupada did not retire. Whole life he did not retire. He could have stayed back in Vrindavan. He was already transcendental. But he showed with his own example that in the mission of the Lord, we have to carry out the mission of the Lord in this material world. And to carry out the mission of the Lord in this material world, we have to deal with money, we have to deal with women, we have to deal with so many things, material things we may have to deal. But we should rest assured that if we follow the directions of Srila Prabhupada, Maya will not be able to touch us, even in the midst of all these material wealth, opulences, all these things. But we have to be very, very careful in utilizing matter in the service of the Lord. Originally, matter and spirit is non-different. Matter did not exist. It is spirit only. Spirits becomes matter for living entities, and the matter becomes spiritualized once again when it is used in the service of the Lord. So devotees are not afraid of matter in that sense, because matter is nothing. It has no existence. Matter exists only when it is disconnected to Krishna. Otherwise matter is also spirit. Otherwise the deities of the Lord is not matter. How it is matter? It is spiritualized, isn't it? Similarly, the body of a spiritual master, it is spiritualized. It is not material anymore. So here we find Atri Rishi, he is not very sure about the constitutional position of Lord Vishnu, and that is why he is confused and is in his confusion, actually in his heart he called for these three personalities, and these three personalities did appear, and satisfying his desire, they will, even though he knows that only one of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, But still we find all three of them appear, and then they will inform him that in one sense there is no difference. There is simultaneously oneness in the creation of the Lord and the Creator, but simultaneously there is a difference. Simultaneously there is a difference. These examples are given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the Vedic literatures. The spark of a fire and fire. In one sense there is no difference, but in another sense there is difference. Similarly, the example is given, the drop of ocean is non-different from the ocean, but still it is different. There is potency difference in one drop and potency difference in the whole ocean. So we are like the drop, the living entities are like the drop, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ocean. And they eternally remain so. It is not that the drop becomes one with ocean. Prabhupada explains, we may also think drop becomes one with ocean one day. Yes, but it will become evaporated once again. It does not. They may want to become water of ocean. Prabhupada says the devotees like to be aquatics in the ocean. They don't want to remain one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like the aquatics, they enjoy in the ocean. It's not that they become one with the ocean. They do not become. It's like that. So this is the understanding. We'll stop with this. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.